Parents of identical twins, how did you tell them apart as babies? How sure are you their names haven't swapped? I had a girlfriend with 9 fingers. She was very petite, around 90 pounds. She told me her mom was the same build as her when she got pregnant with twins. So in the womb, my GFS sister's foot pushed on her left hand, therefore her pinky finger just didn't develop. When I asked if her sister had a deformity, she said, no, that female doggy. My cousin had twins, one had a name that rhymed with a color, so she painted that one's nails in that color, until they grew old enough that she could tell without needing to look. Edit, wow, this blew up. Still, no one's guessed it, although the suggestions are out of this world amazing. I'll make it easier for you, the twins are girls. No joke, my mom sharpied a P on my brother Pat's foot. But after a while, it didn't matter. Another person said it here, but the weight difference persists. His twin brother was and remained considerably bigger than he was. Edit, spelling. My mom couldn't tell my twin, non-identical but very similar looking, brothers apart when they were born for a month or so. Luckily the rest of the family could and had to tell her when she needed to know. I knew a set of identical looking triplets growing up. Their mom dressed them in matching outfits and had a different colored hair tie for each of them. I kid you not, these girls were still wearing matching outfits and their respective hair ties the last time I saw them, at 18. Edited for clarity and because English is hard. My twin and I aren't identical, but we sure look like it. I've always asked my mom this question and she said she knows 100% we are who we are because when we got home from the hospital she kept our hospital bracelets on for weeks. Every day she would look us over trying to find any difference in us, any freckle or dimple. Something to tell us apart. And when she found something she took the bracelets off and gave us small little beaded bracelets. And once those got too small she pierced our ears. I had diamond earrings and my sister had pearls. She swears to this day, she can tell us apart with her eyes closed. Which is totally true. We tested it way too many times. Often there is a weight difference at birth which persists for some time. That'll get you through the nugget phase without an accidental swap. I have no idea what you do once they are basically the same size and start actively working together, though. When they were first born, my husband intently studied them, looking for any difference. They were 25 inches and 1 ounce apart at birth, so we didn't have the luxury of a weight discordance. Twin B had folded cartilage on his left ear due to his location in utero. Once that subsided, twin B's stork bite became inflamed, while twin A's did not. That got us through until about 18 months. Now, they have slightly different head shapes, but twin B has a freckle under his right ankle. And #X200B, also, from the beginning, we always kept twin A on the left and twin B on the right and assigned them colors. It's the only way I know who is who in pictures. Apparently, my sister's face is more round than mine is more oval-ish, and when we were born my mom just straight up stated at us in the hospital until she could tell us apart. Edit, stared, sorry smiley face. Not me but my mother-in-law. My husband's brothers are twins. And though she always told them she knew who was who. She confessed to me she thinks she got Tama switched somewhere in their childhood. Baby X had a little birthmark on his cheek. Now not X, but Y has a birthmark. She hid every photo album she has. And this is now a secret between me and my mill. I'm an only child and my mom still gets me mixed up with her dogs. I am not a parent, but I do have an identical twin. My parents always told us whenever the question came up that once they brought us home they assigned us different colors. My sister was blue and I was pink, and they painted our nails until they could tell the difference. Sometimes my sister and I joke about our names getting switched in the hospital, but I think they put name tags on us. Just spray painted little symbols on their little bald heads. Job done. Identical twin here. And when I say identical, I mean my sister and I can't tell ourselves apart in some pictures identical. My mom doesn't even know which one of us is older. We were born via C-section within the same minute. The only reason I'm listed as older on my birth certificate is because they legally needed something to differentiate us on our birth certificates beyond just our names, and mine comes first in alphabetical order. My sister and I have names that are associated with colors, so my mom colored our big toe nails with Sharpies when we were babies. As we got older, she said I just started responding to one name and my sister to the other, so that's what names we have. We don't know if we actually respond to the correct names, but we don't ever plan on looking into it. She sometimes still doesn't know who is talking on the phone when we are in the same room. We are now in our 20s. Edit, verb number discrepancy. Should be. Those are the names we have. This physically pains me that it took me this long to notice how grammatically icky that sounded. I'm an English teacher. I worked with a girl who told me the story of her friend that managed to have identical triplets, or as close as those can be. After they were born, the doctors gave them each a medical alert bracelet to keep on so that the family could tell the three girls apart. Almost a year later and the parents were still relying on those bracelets to tell their kids apart. The parents let the triplets stay at a grandma's house, and during a bath, she took the bracelets off and forgot which one belonged to which child. The grandmother only told the parents about this months later, and to this day the parents are unsure which child is which. Mother of identical twin girls. Now 22 years old. At birth they literally weighed the same. But baby B had bruising on her forehead from delivery. We used that for the first week along with their hospital bracelets for 2 weeks. Then we tied a different colored cloth ribbon around their ankles for a few weeks. We could find no discernible mark, mole, freckle, nothing to distinguish them apart. Afraid the ribbon would fall off and cause a choking hazard as they began to move around, at 6 weeks old we had their ears pierced. One with gold balls, the other with silver. Real jewelry and safety backings that would not fall off. They wore that until about 3 years old. By then, attitudes and personalities began to appear and it was obvious who was who. The fear in the beginning of mixing them up was real. They came out at different times and were immediately given a wrist tag. 100% sure they haven't swapped. One of them has a goatee. Pretty sure the one with the goatee is evil. We put blue fingernail polish on the big toe of one of them just in case. Their head shapes are different because my wife labored the first one for 3+ hours, the second one's heart rate dipped so they expedited his delivery so his is more round. To me they look entirely different, but other people who aren't around them 24/7 can't tell them apart. That doesn't mean I don't get them mixed up from time to time at certain angles, but straight on I can tell them apart. My brothers are identical twins. When they were born, my mom painted the toenails pink for one of them while they were in the hospital with the ID bands still on. One of them had pink toenails for the first 2 years of his life. You can tell them apart easily if you know them. My mom just didn't ever want to get them switched up by mistake. One has a slightly chunkier face compared to the other. Looking at baby pictures, you can easily tell which is which. Not a parent, but my cousins are twins and one of them had a birthmark on his right butt cheek. No one noticed until a year later. Lol. Blue nail polish on the older boy's big toenail. Always worked. For just general daily distinctions, we tended to dress one in mostly green and the other in mostly blue. One also had a birthmark on his back. I kept the hospital bracelets on for maybe 1 to 2 weeks, but after having them home for a bit, I could just tell. I could even tell their cries apart. When you're with them 24/7 it's easier. It took my husband a little while longer, but he was working and I was home with them. But parents of triplets and more that are identical, I know sometimes they paint a toenail or something like that to help. I know if there was more than 2 I would need something too. Parent of fraternal twins here. When our 2 were babies, they are 2 now, they looked like each other especially at a glance. We would often get the question while my wife and I were out, twins, which we would say yes. This question was almost always followed by, are they identical? My wife would always get embarrassed when I was with her because she knew what I was about to say. No, one has a slong. Just wanted to share. We had them chipped. Which is fine, except whenever we need to tell them apart we have to take them to the vet. I went to school with identical twins. Chris and Brad. They looked so much alike that their parents bleached one of their hair until they hit puberty and started caring about their own styles. Deleted. One of my close friends has identical twins. He told me it's just habit and it's natural for him. Their names are so similar too, it's confusing for me, so I have to ask every time I call one of them which one they are. My twin sister and I will never know. My twin sisters may be identical, but I swear one is slightly wider than the other. Like, an extra millimeter down the middle. It's not the only difference, but it's the biggest one. What set them apart very early on was an accident with a milk bottle that was too hot, scarred a patch on the tummy of just one of them, instant way to distinguish one from the other if there were any doubt. Not sure I'd promote that as a deliberate technique though. My grandfather was an identical twin. When he was 4 months old, a snake got into their crib and bit one of them. Either George or Edward died, but his parents didn't know which one. They decided he was Edward.